All right, guys, what's going on? Little Q&A here for y'all today. I had a question posed a while back. Do we engrave knives in our shop? If so, recommendations on a good knife, a good quality knife to work with. One thing I want to say is I use CO2 lasers. So CO2 lasers are not great at engraving metal. They're not going to engrave into the metal. Some of the super high powerful ones can do some. I recommend getting a fiber laser if you're looking to engrave into metal. But I do engrave knives, and we do them for as gifts. With the knives that we use, I engrave the handles, the wooden handles. And what I suggest is always find a handle that is a good quality. This is a beech nut. This is a Opinel made in France. These are our go-to knives. We have tons of these in the shop. I love these. They're carbon steel. The blades on these are carbon steel. Blades are super thin, but they hold an edge better than any, leather knife that I've ever purchased from Tandy or anywhere else that I get at my leather supplies. These stand the test of time, and the handles, these beechwood handles, are super for engraving. It's got the little Opinel. It's just a little painted on the little logo. Basically, what I do is I just take a sanding block. It's a very light finish on these. I just basically take a sanding block and sand the whole thing. The wood is a real simple process. Sand it off. It pretty much gets there's a little bit left on there, but it'll just wipe that their little paint job off. That Opinel probably wouldn't like me doing that, but I do buy a ton of their knives, so they probably don't mind me doing it too much. But I sand that off, and then we'll go in the laser room in just a second, and I'll engrave. This is actually going to be a gift, a birthday gift for a very special friend of mine who took me in years ago when I was literally the thing that went bump in the night. But these make a super gift idea, and these are great for engraving. Good dark engraving in this beechwood handle. Love these things. I'm going to link in the description below. I will link these knives to in the description below. Our Amazon store link. These are fantastic as gift ideas. I want to show you something right here. The collar on this it twists like this. So once you've got it open, you twist the collar, and the knife, it won't close on you. When you're using the knife, it won't close. This thing fits really good in your hand. I love these things. Like I said, I have probably half a dozen of these laying around. When you close it closes up nice, fits in your pocket perfectly. I make leather holsters for these too that will go on clips that'll go onto the belt. Like I said, fantastic knife. And when it's closed, you can also just turn the collar just like this. Turn the collar, and it will lock close. It's a very super simple, primitive design, kind of old school. But like I said, it has a very fine finish on the outside of it. And what I normally do is I just take and just basically just go over this, knock off a little bit of that outer finish. And that's just to get that paint, the name off of it. Try not to, like I said, I'm going to get it all off right here. There we go. That's all it is to it. Always make sure you go over the entire knife. That way you kind of strip off that top layer evenly. You want it evenly stripped. And what I normally do, I'll take like a gun stock. I'll link some finishes that we do. After I'm done engraving it, you get a good, nice, dark brown, deep engraving in here with a message or whatever you want. Like I said, we'll throw it up in just a second and show you what this knife looks like. And I'll just paint over it with a gun stock finish. I'll link the gun stock finish that we use in the description below. So if you guys want to try it, and what that does is it's going to give it back a little bit of the finish that you take off when you go over it with the sander. This is just it's like a 320 grit sanding block. Put that in the description too. But these make for perfect gifts. And when you go back over it with that gun stock, it actually helps darken up the engraving that you're gonna do in it. And sometimes we'll go in and use like a little gloss enamel spray. I don't get crazy when it comes to the finish work on these. You don't have to, because this is solid wood. This is not a veneer. This is a solid piece of wood, which is another thing that just adds to the niceness of this knife. Great gift ideas. Let's run over to the laser room. We're going to put this thing on the laser. We're going to engrave a little message to my friend Bernie, one of the greatest friends I've ever had. And we'll get this knife finished up and show what it's all about. Let's head over to the laser room. All right, so we've got it off the laser. Looks good. The engraving looks fantastic. We got a little bit of smudge mark right here that comes sometimes when you're laser engraving into wood. You wind up with a little bit of a scorch mark. Some people like to use tape or some kind of, barrier to put over here to keep it from having those scorch marks and burn marks. My only issue with doing that is you don't always get a good deep engraving, and you definitely don't get as a dark of an engraving, which is why I don't always do that. Just basically you can take a little bit of your sanding block, sand that off. We're going to go in here in just a second. Have a little bit of sticky from where it's engraved into some of the stain of the knife. Just take your sanding block and knock that right off. There we go. Look at that. Now we're going to put a little bit of a finish on there. Drop in a little stain. Put a little enamel on it and it'll look just about perfect. All right, so I've wrapped the blade here with some masking tape, painter's tape. That way it doesn't get on the blade. It really doesn't matter if it gets on the blade. We're going to drop in, this is some Minwax Gunstock semi-transparent stain. You can already see, man, that looks good. Make sure all of your stain gets down into the lettering. Wow, this is going to be a fantastic. Turn it around here. Coat the whole handle. Whoa. Yes. This right here's that what I'm talking about. Oh my goodness. This is just off the chain. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That is going to be a perfect gift for Bernie. Like I said, CO2 lasers, especially if you get you a good CO2 laser, it just makes for a, you can do so much with these things. And the gifts you can make with them are just beautiful. Stick around. I'll have the final pics up. Wow. I'll have a link to our website as well where these knives are available for purchase. And there'll also be a link to buy your Opinel knife from our Amazon store. I'll throw it in the description below. These are gorgeous. Love these. Stick around, guys.